god. It's okay, Onesie, they can't get in. Oh my god, they're right at our door, and they're gigantic. Wow, I guess someone heard I got 99 thieving because those are some big raccoons, and Onesie was not very happy about it. Definitely leave a like if you want to see more Onesie content. I have a lot more to show. Thank you so much to one of our longtime Patreon sponsors, Bob White, for being the sponsor of today's video. This could maybe... No, I needed one more good hit. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! That's our first sigil! Oh my god! Oh, it's our spectral! I can't believe it! That's the first one I've ever seen at Corp. Literally, all of my days doing Corp, I have never ever seen a sigil until now. All these Corp masses we've done, congratulations, my man. Did he say anything? He's probably like, holy fuck. Hello everyone, my name is AndrewAJT and welcome to a new video. We're going to start with some Corp mass highlights. Hope you guys enjoyed that little clip there. We got a spectral sigil. That is the first sigil I've ever seen dropped at Corp in person. I've never gotten one in small groups. I've never gotten one in a mass. I've never gotten one in pre-EOC, so finally I saw one there. Of course it wasn't mine, but that's still a pretty exciting moment. I streamed it for about 4 hours, which was something I'm not always used to doing, but I really had a good time. I don't get to stream a whole bunch, so when I do have a chance to do it, it's something pretty enjoyable to interact with chat on Twitch and all that. I've never really tried YouTube streaming. I don't know if that's really a thing yet. Obviously, most of my viewers, or almost all of them, are on YouTube, so let me know if you guys know anything about YouTube streaming, if that's really any good, or is Twitch still the way to go for that. We probably got several hundred kills, and the cool thing about this mass is that it was very, very random who was actually getting the kills. I probably got about maybe 7 to 10 overall, but it was like a different person every single time getting the kill. We had some like level 90s or level 104s getting the kills with ruby bolts, which is something I mentioned. As for what I would have done differently, knowing the mass went the way it did, is I probably would have announced the world a little bit sooner, maybe just announce it last week before we did this, because there was really no reason to not do that. It's not like we could get crashed because we're just doing a mass here. If 10 people want to try to crash us, they're just going to become part of the mass, and it's not like they're going to get all the kills anyway. I probably also would have announced a second clan chat a little bit sooner because I didn't actually foresee the AndrewAJT 62 clan chat being full, and it turned out it was full like 30 minutes before the mass even started. I actually did think of this scenario around a day or two before, so I posted the world and another clan chat we could use like a day before in the community tab, but hopefully everyone saw that. I think they did because I really posted it everywhere. I probably would have also made like a little miniature guide for how to do Corp in a mass setting if you've never done it before. I did briefly explain it last week, but a lot of people had more questions, so maybe next time I do one of these I'll make like a little mini guide just to put up on my backup channel or something like that. Most of those minor problems were just as a result of the fact that the channel is bigger than it used to be, so we had more participants. There was probably hundreds of unique people that were here at different times, but overall it went very, very well, and we probably will do another mass fairly soon because this one was for 20,000 subscribers, and we're getting really close to 25,000, so we could probably do something for that. I was thinking even maybe Giant Mole, because if it respawns every 10 seconds, then that's almost like a guaranteed pet, I would have to think. Maybe not guaranteed, but really good chance. So one thing I wanted to talk about today was this update post that was from a few days ago. And one thing that definitely caught my eye was this paragraph down here. So everyone's been wondering what's been going on with esports and old school. Is Dead Man mode going to come back? Is there going to be some sort of new esports for it? And Jagex actually has a dedicated eSports JMod. This is Mod Rogue, and she's been subject to some criticism recently. Some of it's fair, some of it I think is just a little bit of trolling and memes. I think we've all seen them. She posted recently, due to some extra work needed on our side, we'll be delaying the esports and competitive gaming update until further notice. We thank you for your continued patience and look to share information with you as soon as possible. So I have no problem with that tweet. It's saying, you know what, we're working on it and we're going to share some information soon. Very simple. And I understand that it's a fair question to say, hey, we haven't gotten any esports recently, and
there is an esports person working at Jagex, so what exactly is being worked on? And I do think they should be more transparent about that. But of course, a lot of the criticism has, again, just been memes and trolling and people piling on, when I doubt that one person is really the reason we haven't gotten many esports and PvP updates. So in that sense, I do think the criticism can be unfair. And they made this whole paragraph about Mod Rogue, so I'm going to read this. I debated not reading this, but it's so relevant that I have to read it. You might be aware that last year, Mod Rogue was hired as our new head of esports, and we'd like to take this opportunity to answer any questions you might have about what that entails. Mod Rogue was not tasked with a general goal of reviving PvP or even reviving Deadman. She isn't a content developer, and there was never any expectation that she'd be developing and releasing game content. Her goal has been to make competitive gaming work for Jagex, which includes both RuneScape and old school RuneScape. That includes building structured formats with clear paths for competitive players, and also considering how we might vary game content to experiment and provide a bit of something for everybody, PVM and scaling rather than just PvP. A bulk of the work has been assessing how competitive gaming can serve Jagex's needs as a business. Competitive gaming and esports can prove expensive, so a lot of work and effort has been put into addressing how things like sponsorships and working with established brands can maximize the impact of any endeavor. We want to share our plans for competitive gaming as soon as we possibly can, but there's still work to be done before we're in a position to do so. Any news about competitive gaming and esports will be shared from the official old school RuneScape channels. So what did you learn that you didn't already know from that paragraph? Well, basically almost nothing. I feel like that paragraph was just a very long paragraph that said a lot without really saying anything at all. We pretty much know exactly what she said in the tweet. They're still working on things and they're going to provide updates as soon as they can. And some of the things that they said in there were just obvious. Obviously, Mod Rogue is not going to run the entire PvP and esports updates by herself. That's an unrealistic expectation that anyone could have just inferred without that paragraph. They did say that really part of it is just the business aspect of it, but anyone who's been involved with esports knows that that's a huge part of it. It's not just designing the content, it's kind of getting those connections along the way. And again, I don't really think most of the criticism was valid, so by addressing it here and kind of responding to trolls and people who just want to jump in on a bandwagon, it's almost like you're validating it. In my opinion, there were two much better options than writing this paragraph. One would have just been to not do it. She made the tweet. I think the tweet was pretty good. It explained it. We're still working on it. We don't have any updates right now. That's fine. Don't address it further. Or probably even better is wait until whatever is being worked on is ready to be announced. Instead of saying we're working on a ton of stuff but being vague about it and not telling us what it is, just wait until it's ready to announce. Say, okay, here's what we've been working on, and make a big announcement saying here's our plan for esports. And then if you want to address the prior criticism, you're going to be doing it from a much higher ground because you'll have actual news to package it along with, and it'll almost be unnecessary to address any criticism because you'll have some actual results to show. That's just my thoughts on it. I don't know all the internal details here, so this is just my opinion based on what I've seen. Don't go around blaming Jagex or blaming Mod Rogue when they still haven't even really made an announcement about this stuff yet. I'm just criticizing the way they've handled it. You can certainly criticize how long it's taken them, and also the fact that Bounty Hunter is kind of a mess right now. I mean, they literally had to remove it from the game. That's how bad it's gotten. But that's not directly related to esports, although it's kind of like a cousin of esports. I'm assuming most esports things are going to be PvP, but to be fair, they did say in that update that some of it might be PVM as well, or even RuneScape 3, so we'll just have to stay tuned for that. So if that paragraph wasn't long enough for you guys, they also made a post the other day about death mechanics, and this was really, really detailed. And, I mean, I guess that's fine. At least they kind of summarized it down at the bottom here. Although I don't really expect that most players are really going to read this and then they're going to be voting on it. So it's kind of bad that people are going to be voting on something that they might not even know all the details of. Before we even talk about this, I do want to clear up a misconception from when OSRS was new, a lot of people seem to have the impression that when you died back then, like 2014, 2015, 13, you would have 2 minutes before your stuff appeared to everyone. That's just simply not true. It would appear to everyone instantly. As you see here, this is July 2014. So I don't know where people got that idea from that you had like this 2 minute window to get your stuff. Not that it would have really mattered in situations like this, but for the most part, it pretty much just appeared right away. I don't know where that 2 minute misconception came from. Maybe they made it like that at some point for a very short amount of time and then they changed it anyway, but I don't think so. Also, there was a time when they actually updated the God Wars dungeon to make it so that you would not lose your KC when you leave temporarily, so you could go back and quickly get your stuff. And then eventually they just made it where it is now, where you have 60 minutes to get your stuff back and no one can see it. So I've talked about the death mechanics in the past and in the pre-EOC videos and gravestones and how it was cool, how it worked at the time, but honestly these days I don't really see a scenario where we could have those systems back where you could lose your stuff, because there are so many things that could happen nowadays, whether it's internet attacks or server disconnects, where you can die and it's not your fault, and then maybe you wouldn't be able to get your stuff back because of something that you did. It's not like you messed up at the boss and you're the reason you died. It could be something that's not really your fault, so we really can't have those systems back in old school, in my opinion. It was a cool system, and it did add a lot of excitement to the game overall, but for the current game, it's just not practical anymore. So the blog proposes a lot of solutions, which are pretty interesting. I'm not going to go through all of them one by one, but I do recommend that you read all of them. I will link it down below if you want to do that, which I recommend. Basically, it boils down to you can get your stuff back, but it's going to cost you a small fee in GP, which I think is fine because the game could always use some more gold sinks. I just hope if they implement any of these that they would be executed correctly. It looks like they are doing a good job of foreseeing some potential problems. Like, one good thing about the gravestones idea is that your grave would actually not tick down from the 15 minutes when you're not online. So if you disconnect, then you're not actually losing time. And they did foresee a problem with that, like maybe the game thinks you're online, but you're really not, like if you haven't fully disconnected yet. There's also an idea about having an NPC where your items would go to, and this wouldn't have a time limit, and this would be like combined with the gravestone, so if you couldn't get back to the gravestone in 15 minutes, then they would go to this NPC, and that wouldn't have a time limit, but you would have to pay a little more. Honestly, I think they should just forget the gravestones altogether and just go to this idea directly, because the only way you wouldn't be able to get back to really anywhere in the game in 15 minutes is if something went like seriously wrong. I can just imagine a streamer in like a year from now dying and trying to get back to his grave, but he keeps disconnecting, or some glitch happens and he doesn't make it there in 15 minutes and it's going to be some big controversy. Not saying that'll happen, but it's just something I could picture. So if you just had an NPC without the time limit, you would get the main benefit of this death change, in that there's still risk involved and there's a gold sink and you have to pay something, but you wouldn't have to worry about this whole 15-minute thing, which I think is just going to cause nothing but problems. I think there's also going to be people arguing that the current system has worked fine for many years, so why change it? And that's a reasonable argument. To be fair, I'm not super passionate about these changes. If they were to not happen, I really wouldn't be outraged at all. But I do like them because the current system was not meant to be permanent, and it is good that some risk would be involved with dying again. But I really hope they go with just the NPC idea. The gravestone idea and bringing a time limit back, I think, would not be really ideal. I know everyone's going to have a different opinion on this, so let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe you could even change my mind, because this blog has only been out for a few days. I really do recommend reading it because there's a lot of details that I simply don't have time for here, so it's good to know all of them yourself before you make a decision. That's going to do it for today. Definitely hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and if you agreed with anything I said. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon to all notifications to get the new video whenever I upload. You can join our clan chat in game, AndrewAJT62. You can follow me on Twitter down below at AndrewAJT. You can join our Discord down below. We just recently reached 1,000 members, so that's really cool. Thank you guys for that. And if you want to support the channel even further, you can check out my Patreon page in the end screen. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.